Hi, I'm Robert Myers. I'm here with Raw 12:51am, and I am interviewing Ben Howlett, who is here for the Warwick Politics Society event Britain in the World. Ben was the Conservative Party MP for Bath between 2015 and June of this year, and is currently a director at Public Policy Projects. Ben, I'm going to jump right into things about sort of keeping it relevant to today's talk. You're here to sort of discuss Britain's relationship with the rest of the world. What are you going to be arguing for? What's your argument tonight?
Well, there's two key components to Britain's relationship with the rest of the world at the moment. One obviously relates to the Brexit question, and then the other relates to other insecurities that are happening around the world. Obviously, with today's Twitter spat between the current President of the United States and the Prime Minister, I have no doubt that will be coming up too. But my position in relation to Brexit is that I campaigned for Remain heavily during the referendum. I voted to trigger Article 50 because I'm a Democrat and I respect the decision at that time, but that doesn't necessarily mean to say I want to stop campaigning and championing the case of Britain's relationship being strong within a cluster of friends in the European continent. And then obviously with the insecurities that are going on around the rest of the world, no doubt the debate will turn to things like the Iran issue, what's happening over in China, and obviously with the North Korean issue too, and the ballistic missile that was sent out a couple of days ago, which seems to be put off the agenda now because of the Twitter spat. There's going to be no doubt a long debate later.
Yeah, there's no shortage of views right now, especially with regards to Twitter diplomacy. You've sort of, going to your sort of position on Brexit, you've called for Britain to remain in the single market afterwards. Is this still possible, or are we too far gone at this point?
Yeah, so when I wrote that article, it was a couple of weeks after the referendum result, and nothing was off the table at that point. I think ultimately now we know that Britain will not be a member of the single market if the negotiations go the way that the government wants them to go, and also, by the way, the customs union too. The question is what's going to happen in December at the Council of Europe, whether or not there'll be a large spat between the Irish and the UK government, in particular in relation to the Northern Irish border. I don't know, I'll have to wait and see. Although the Irish Premier yesterday, I think, said that he's reticent in using the veto at the next Council meeting to delay talks moving into trade talks instead. The reason why I wanted Britain to be a member of the single market was largely because of the fact that I still think on an economic case, Britain is much better off inside the European Union than outside the European Union. However, now we know that the actual position of the EU would be weakened as a result of potential fragmentation amongst the collective of nations in the European Union by the UK having a special opt-in, opt-out solution to the single market. I just don't think it's going to happen because it would weaken the European Union, and they seem a very strong collective of 27 states right now.
Sort of speaking of that, how do you think the Brexit negotiations have been going overall? Sort of, as a spectator now, of course.
Well, as a spectator, and also being still very close to friends of mine in the Conservative Party, Parliamentary Party as well, who are making the case that we need a strong relationship with the European Union going forward. The sort of soft Brexit case as well, and I'm not going to start distancing myself from that argument. I think it's absolutely true, and also one which we will be proven right in the future as well. But how do I think it's going? Look, I mean, when you see images of the Brexit secretary sitting there without any paperwork, having a cup of tea whilst the well-briefed civil servants over in the Commission are making those negotiations, you cannot be anything other than nervous and concerned about the way that the negotiations are going. And a lot of the debates I spoke in, I was one of the vocal people that ended up becoming a front-page hit on the Daily Mail, being considered as one of the new bastards. Nothing can say more about what my views are on this. A lot of it I've been proven right on, and I think a lot of my colleagues have been proven right on it too. So the more that the government distances itself from the hard Brexit case of some of my former colleagues and listens more to those that are making the proper case for a better, stronger relationship, I think it will be much more in the UK's interest to do that.
Okay, so I'm just going to move on to what you've been up to since June. You've been a director for Public Policy Projects. How can you compare working on policy outside of Parliament to sort of working within it, working within the chamber?
Yeah, so 2.5 years in Parliament, I spent quite a lot of my time anyway dealing with policy-related matters, but I had a marginal constituency, I had a huge number of constituents with a lot of vulnerable issues, and what I tried to do mainly was to focus my attention on them because I had to, really. Those are the people most in need, and that's where I put my priorities. Now, being outside of it, one, I'm able to focus my attention 100% of the time to developing and delivering policy in mainly healthcare, local government, and on community-related issues, rather than sort of 10% of my time previously. And I have to say, it's been absolutely fantastic. Not just on sanity grounds, by the way, being out of there for a while, but also because it's just a very interesting area of policy.
Finally, sort of just asking Euron, you on this, who's going to be the next Prime Minister?
I have absolutely no idea right now. I would be very bad at predicting the future. So I was predicted, according to the pollsters, to lose in 2015 and won, and then predicted to win in 2017 and I lost. So frankly, I have no idea, although I will say, and I have consistently said this, Boris Johnson will not be the next Prime Minister of this country, and I touch as much wood as I possibly can on that basis.
Should Jeremy Corbyn be the next Prime Minister?
There's a strong possibility that he could be. But if the Labour Party were actually a party of potential government right now, they would not be polling 40% against the Conservatives 40%. They'd be polling 60%. And given where the current government is right now, it is a little bit of a surprise as a commentator to say that the Labour Party are not sort of 25 points ahead right now. And that's why I don't think really Jeremy Corbyn is going to be the next Prime Minister. But it might be someone else within the Labour Party.